I've often commented on this before, chums, about the fact that when you think about it, Meghan Markle has shown utter disrespect to His Majesty the King. And you might say, oh, really? You've been a bit petty. Remember, this is a man who walked her halfway down the aisle after Prince Harry had begged his father to do so.
Sometimes the loudest message is the one that isn't spoken at all. No statement, no press release, no royal spokesperson stepping forward to explain, just a room, a wall, and a picture that is no longer there. And somehow, in the way that only the digital age can deliver, that missing picture has traveled from a private home in the English countryside all the way to a mansion in California. And by all accounts, it has landed like a thunderclap. Because here's the thing about a photograph being quietly removed from a wall. It doesn't need a caption. It doesn't need context. Everyone understands exactly what it means. Let's set the scene. Highgrove. If you've never visited, it is one of the most beautiful private estates in England. Immaculate gardens, warm atmosphere, the kind of place that feels entirely removed from the noise of the modern world. Certain areas are open to visitors, and those who make the trip tend to leave with a deep appreciation for the care and character that has been poured into every corner of it. It is, above all else, a personal space, a home. And like any home, the pictures on the walls tell a story about the people who matter most to the person who lives there, which is precisely why what was recently spotted inside one of those rooms by a visitor with a sharp eye and a phone camera has sparked such intense conversation. A photograph that once hung there is gone. The photograph in question, the wedding of Prince Harry and Meghan Markle. In its place, and this is the detail that has really set things off, there now hang two images that feel very deliberately chosen. One shows the king with both of his sons, William and Harry, together. The other is a warm, candid photograph of His Majesty with his grandson, Prince Louis. Beautiful pictures, entirely appropriate. And for two people in California watching this unfold on their phones, absolutely infuriating. Now, before we go further, let's be clear about something. Kings do not redecorate by accident. A private residence like Highgrove is not a space where pictures get swapped out casually, without thought, without awareness of what message that change might send.
A harsh thing for Thomas Markle to realise, but I think it was very clear to all that this celebrity wedding that Meghan Markle had concocted, with all the people that suddenly, thanks to her position within the royal family, she could drag forward and think.
This was a choice, and the choice speaks volumes about where things currently stand between His Majesty the King and the Duke and Duchess of Sussex. According to sources familiar with the situation, the reaction in the Sussex household was, to put it mildly, volcanic. The moment this was spotted and circulated online, it made its way back to Montecito almost immediately, and the response has reportedly been one of fury. Now, here's where it gets interesting, because there is a pattern to how Meghan Markle responds when she feels slighted. We've seen it before. We can essentially set our watches by it. There will be a period of outrage. There will be conversations with trusted confidants. And then, and this is the part to watch, there will be a response. Calculated, strategic, framed around the narrative of being excluded, unwanted, cast out. The clap back, as the modern phrase goes, is coming. It is simply a matter of when and in what form. But before we get to what will happen next, it's worth understanding the full context of why this picture change carries so much weight. Cast your mind back to the royal wedding in May 2018. A wedding that, by any measure, was extraordinary. An internationally watched, deeply symbolic event, and one that, even at the time, carried undercurrents of tension that only became clear later. Consider the walk down the aisle. Thomas Markle, Meghan's father, was absent. The reasons given were medical. And yet what emerged over time painted a more complicated picture. Prince Harry, by multiple accounts, personally asked his father, then the Prince of Wales, to step in and walk Meghan to the altar. It was a gesture of grace, of family, of a man going out of his way to welcome someone into the fold on the most public day imaginable. And yet here we are, years later, with that same man's home displaying no trace of the wedding he made that gesture for. There is also the matter of what happened, or rather, what didn't happen, at His Majesty's coronation. The king's youngest son arrived, stayed briefly, and left.
What was interesting was, even the Queen pointed out, well, really, does she not have any family member that could walk her down the aisle? Everybody was rather insistent, including the fact that Angela Kelly, brave woman, had to bring it up with Harry. You can understand how it was very difficult for Angela.
No meaningful presence, no visible effort to mark what was by any measure one of the most significant days of his father's life. So when people suggest that the removal of a photograph from a wall at Highgrove is a petty or trivial detail, I'd invite them to consider all of this. The photograph is not the story. The photograph is the symbol. Now, there's a second layer to this, and it's the one causing perhaps even more tension behind the scenes. Last September, when Harry made a visit back to the UK, he reportedly brought with him a collection of photographs, images of Archie and Lilibet taken by a close family friend. The implication at the time was clear. Here are your grandchildren. Here is an olive branch. Here is a reason to stay connected. The hope, and I believe this was a genuine hope, was that those images might find their way onto shelves or walls in royal residences, that they might signal a thawing, a step towards something resembling reconciliation. Instead, the wall at Highgrove now features Prince Louis, and Archie and Lilibet are nowhere to be seen. Now, and this is a point worth sitting with, is anyone genuinely surprised? His Majesty the King has never met Lilibet in any meaningful sense. There are no regular phone calls, no video chats, no quiet, ongoing relationship being carefully maintained across the Atlantic. Anyone suggesting otherwise is not working with the facts as they are currently understood. Why would a grandfather display photographs of grandchildren he has no relationship with? The painful truth is, he wouldn't. And this is entirely a situation of the Sussex's own making. Let's zoom out for a moment and look at what this picture situation actually reveals about the state of play right now. The royal family, and His Majesty in particular, have shown consistent patience over the past several years. Invitations extended, doors left open, the Invictus Games acknowledged, small gestures here and there that suggested the possibility of a path back. Each of those gestures has been met with conditions or delays or public positioning that made private reconciliation almost impossible. And now it appears the calculation may have quietly shifted, because what the photographs at Highgrove communicate, whether intentionally or not, is this. The family moves forward. It celebrates the relationships that are present and active. Prince Louis is a child his grandfather sees, knows, and loves.
I've pointed that out before. Unless you were the Queen, Markle wasn't interested. You get the picture again. What's interesting here, though, is, as you can see, Meghan now decides if you slight her, like as I mentioned recently on the Saturday Night Live NBC show, she found that unfunny.
That photograph belongs on that wall. A wedding photograph from a marriage that has brought years of public conflict, legal battles, and sustained criticism of the institution? Perhaps less so. Some will call this a power move. Some will say it's cold. Others, and I suspect there are more of these than the Sussex supporters would like to admit, will say it's simply honest. And honesty, in this particular saga, has always been in short supply. So what happens now? The Sussex response is being prepared one way or another. The narrative is already being shaped. Expect language around exclusion, around being pushed out, around the children being denied their royal heritage. The irony of that framing, coming from two people who have consistently chosen distance, who skipped the coronation, who have weaponized their children's privacy when convenient and used their existence as leverage when equally convenient, will likely go unacknowledged. But the public, I think, is increasingly sharp to the pattern. The king made a quiet, dignified choice about his own private home. He included the relationships that are real. He honored the family that shows up. And sometimes, that is all the statement you need. A photograph on a wall, it sounds so small. And yet here we are, talking about what it means, what it signals, and what it tells us about a family that has been navigating one of the most complicated royal rifts in living memory. The details matter, the symbolism matters, and the choices that powerful people make in private spaces, they matter most of all. If this story raised questions for you, if you see this differently, or if you think there's an angle being missed, I want to hear from you. Drop it in the comments. The conversation down there is always worth having. If you found this breakdown valuable, a like goes a long way. And if you're not subscribed yet and you want the story behind the story, not just the headlines, then now is a good time. Take care of yourselves. I'll see you very soon.